morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Time check right now is 7:41 a.m. and it's time for us to look through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers. Now, before we go into the major stories for today, of course, it is our tradition here to bring you up to speed as regards the major stories that trended from over the weekend. So we'll start with Saturday, and the Punch had headlines like how #End Bad Governance protest cost NIA and DSS bosses their jobs. Tributes as music icon Onyeka Onwenu is buried in Lagos. 10 months in prison due to resignation via text, says a 26-year-old photographer. You may want to actually dig deeper into that. It's on Saturday Punch newspaper. 161 Nigerian students fail UK border checked. Denied entry. We also have from Vanguard why security can't track kidnappers according to investigation. Bruno Labbadia rejects Super Eagles job. Edo 2024 boycott candidates who boycott debate. Hardship mother feeds children animal feeds, and police issue fresh summon to NLC president. Those were the major stories that trended for Saturday. And of course, as we also quickly, just very, very quickly, also look through what we have for Sunday. Yes, major stories over the weekend for Sunday, starting off with the Punch newspaper. Okay, we have here angry residents. Anyone angry I'm working for Tinubu should hug Transformer Wiki. Well, Wiki said quite a lot of things over the weekend. Tinubu may shake up cabinet as pressure mounts on ministers. Court summoned CBN governor over detained Binance executive. Secret network of dispatch riders transporting hard drugs and sacrifices for customers. Brothers abduct and rape 14-year-old girl in Rivers community. Police Service Commission promotes 31 DCPs and over 500 CSPs. We also have here Nigeria and Indonesia to strengthen bilateral relations. Edo poll, Oshomole slams Obaseki's wife over comment on candidate's marital status. Osime out of Napoli project, says Conte. From Vanguard newspaper, we have here 21 million naira jumbo pay. Serap sues Akpabio and Abbas for fixing National Assembly running course. Wanted ex-beauty queen surrenders to NDLEA after hiding for 8 months. Fubara and others are mute as Wike accuses Rivers government of pushing PDP out of government. There's a host of other stories, but from the Guardian newspaper from over the weekend, we have Nigeria seeks $150 million aid from United Nations and others who are firmer herder clashes. Well, these were, amongst the major stories that trended over the weekend. And as we go deep into the major stories for this morning, we'll be taking our stories off the front pages of the Punch, Vanguard, and the Guardian newspaper in a particular order. My name is Omobola Sandra. I will not be doing this alone. I have Fuhad Sahid, who is somewhere on the phone line waiting to give his analysis to the stories that we'll be looking through this morning. But before that, it's very, very important for us to also put this out there. Insecurity is fast becoming a huge bane in the fabric of our society at this time, especially news coming in from the north, from northeast. We have from the north, majorly Zamfara, Niger, Yobe, Sokoto, yes, is really, really disheartening, and we can only appeal and we call on the security operatives to please do something about it. The news are frightening, and it's no longer, something that we can take lightly. I don't know, but I hope that, things are being put in place to ensure that something is being done. Aside from that, the queues are not abating, rather it's getting worse. The queues are getting longer. Things are even getting even more difficult for people. Businesses are shutting down. Businesses are closed off temporarily due to inability to access fuel. It's a serious major cause for concern. At this point now, it is an emergency situation in the country, and reports coming in from NNPC there's no good news. There's no respite in sight. There's nothing in sight to show that it's going to go away anytime soon. So we really don't know what exactly it is we are in in this country at this time now, but there's a lot of inconveniences across the country. Please look out for yourself. Please take care of each other. Very, very important. Well, let's dig deeper into the stories, which of course captures this major highlights that I've just mentioned now. But before then, good morning, Fuad. How are you doing?
Good morning, Sandra. I'm good. How are you doing?
I don't know. I'm just there.
Well, it's understandable. It's very tough, really. For a lot of Nigerians. It's very challenging. It's very tough. The poor scarcity has not abated. And the news now coming officially from the NNPC. I've had about 10 of our listeners reach out to me this morning. Of course, saying that it's now official. The NNPCL is broke. Again, I think all the papers have that story. I think that's their major story. What we have been denying. Yorubas will say,
It's out. It's out.
I know this one is not even the leg down. All the body is out.
The body is out. The entire body is out.
So tougher times ahead, really. Like one of the callers who chatted with me this morning told me that, look, it's clear that, look, tougher days ahead for Nigerians. We run a very opaque oil institution in the NNPCL. We run a very corrupt, inefficient NNPCL. And unfortunately, Nigerians would have to pay for that inefficiency. Nigerians would have to bear the bitter brunt of the level of corruption, the opacity, and the tolerance of a lot of shenanigans that we're seeing with the NNPCL. Very, very unfortunate. I speak with you, Sandra. I've had to deal with this unbelievable situation where I'm now buying fuel at 900 naira per liter. And the story is not good, really. Again, like you also highlighted, we are having disturbing stories from Sokoto State and other parts of the northern region. The level of insecurity has gotten to the point where it's now very important for us to talk about it. We've been hearing of these bandits killing farmers. I think the last one we reported was in Niger State, where 13 farmers were killed for giving out information to our security operators. Sandra, over the weekend, we've been getting disturbing videos. Some of them not completely verified, but we've seen videos of bandits, seizing armored personnel carrier from our military. I think 2 of them, like I said, some of these videos are not completely verified, but again, these videos have been circulating on social media, has been trending from over the weekend. There's also something that looks like a mass killing of farmers somewhere in the north. It said to be in Sokoto State, but again, we still need to confirm some of these things. But it's all very, very bad for the country at this time. We can deny it, we can be critical about it, we can continue to gloss over it. But it's not looking good, Sandra. We are not trying to be an alarmist, but that's not the reality of Nigeria at this time.
Thank you very much, Said Fuad. There's also reports coming in that hooligans invaded Yobe School and killed a number of students as well. So because it doesn't come close to home, doesn't mean it is not happening, and doesn't mean we don't, we shouldn't speak or talk about it, and doesn't mean we shouldn't, keep talking about it until something is done. Because the farther it is, the closer it is. I don't know. Let's make sense of that one way or the other. Because if farmers are being threatened, if farmers are being killed off, and these are regions where most of our farm produce comes from.
Our food.
Exactly. So one way or the other is definitely going to have its ripple effect on all of us collectively. So it is something that we need to keep talking about. Well, thank you very much, Said Fuad. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. You're listening to Trends in the Papers, and we're kicking things off with the Punch newspaper. And the major headline on the front page of the Punch is petrol scarcity is set to worsen as NNPCL admits $6 billion debt. So we have riders here. Debt to petrol suppliers has caused financial strain, and PMS supply is threatened, says NNPC. Petrol queues spread. Motorists lament as fuel marketers decry PMS shortage. So, Fuad, A very very quick one. NNPC and the federal. I don't know who we should hold here because everybody's complicit one way or the other. Because federal government owns NNPC and NNPC is also a standalone one way or the other. But then the president on May 29, 2023, that very infamous phrase, subsidy is gone, and so many rhetorics have followed that. Oh, we have saved so much money. Oh, we have so much money that we have saved, and thereby we're able to afford this, we're able to afford that. And we have heard so many synonyms to subsidy. We've heard shortfalls, we've heard differentials, we've heard obligations. That's what we're hearing now.
Weighted average rate.
Thank you. Weighted average rate. And now the more recent one that we're hearing now is obligations. So apparently NNPC claims that the federal government told it not to, because they're getting the fuel at 1,200. Oh, don't sell it at 1,200 because the people can't afford it. So that difference or that differential, NNPC claims to have been paying it, which was brought to light in recent times when NNPC claims that the federal government is owing it some billions of naira. Okay, and now that money now is so difficult for them to pay the suppliers, the fuel suppliers, and that's why we're having this shortage at this time. And I'm not even going to get into that. But what exactly do you make of this? I don't know what to call it now. Is it this charade that's going on between the federal government and NNPC to Nigerians?
Basically, lies, and deceit. That's the summary of everything. And the problem with lie, Sandra. When you tell a lie, you have to come up with more lies.
Another lie to yes, exactly.
So you go on a lying spree. And the problem with lying too. You forget your lie. You now tell a lie that begins to contradict the initial lie, and then you make a mess of everything. And then it makes you more ridiculous in the eye of people who have critical thinking and good brain to detect your series of lies. Now, Sandra, was it not the same NNPCL? Their spokesperson released a press release denying that they were owing anybody. Just about a few weeks ago, if you remember,
yes,
when the papers reported that, look, the reason why we have this scarcity.
Logistics. Hello? Okay. Well, yes. Just
can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Carry on.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. If you remember, there was a report that the NNPCL was owing its suppliers to about, I think, $6 billion.
$6 billion.
And that was the reason why we had that scarcity, why we are having this continuous scarcity. And you remember they came out to say, no, we are not owing anybody, yes.
Oof. I don't know what's going on, but we've lost you again for
blah, blah, blah.
It's okay.
Yes.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Yeah, so they basically just denied that they were owing anybody. They had some obligations here and there, but they are fine and all of that. Only for them to issue a press statement yesterday now, making a turnaround that, actually, they are owing about $7.8 billion to their suppliers. And as it is, they are cash strapped. They might not be able to efficiently bring products into the country. So, if you're lying to Nigerians, remember, Sandra, when people question the current scarcity, the recent scarcity we've been having, that is still ongoing, they told us different things. You remember,
logistics.
It was logistic issues, the fuel had arrived, but they are trying to unload, it was causing problems. As they said, they told us that even the protest was one of the reasons. If you remember, the protest also came in that, the protest had distorted supply, blah, blah, blah. At some point, they even told us flooding. That the flooding in different parts of the country was making it difficult. So they've been lying to Nigerians, Sandra. And you can't run a country by lies. You can't run an efficient system basically lying to the people. It's almost like a statecraft, like a state policy for governments, its agencies, and institutions to continue to lie to Nigerians. And when we talk about openness, when we talk about transparency, this exactly is what we are talking about. Port Harcourt refinery, several promises, shifting of timelines, continuous lie is what you'll get. For Warri and Kaduna refinery, we are not another trajectory. We are looking for managers of those refineries. Sandra, we've gotten to the point where we need to tell ourselves the truth. The NNPCL is the most opaque institution in the world, at least in the oil sector. And if you remember, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, the current emir of Kano, has told us that, look, why has it become difficult for the NNPCL to bring dollars into the country? Have we not removed subsidy? And they are selling crude. Who is monitoring them? Who is checking what they are doing? They are supposed to be earning dollars for the country, but where are the dollars? So instead of declaring profit, you remember that when we started questioning the liquidity problems in the NNPCL, to deceive Nigerians again, they quickly released their financial statement for 2023. And what they did basically was tell us that, oh, we have this profit, we make this dividend, and then they turned around to say, well, the government was owing them. So again, it's all confusion. It's unbelievable where we found ourselves. But there are critical questions Nigerians need to continue to ask themselves for us to really know what is going on with the oil sector. The first question is that, who are the suppliers of this NNPCL, this company supplying them that we are owing? Who are they, Sandra? Because the NNPCL will continue to argue that, oh, they are not paying subsidy to any marketer. But it means that they are paying the subsidy to the suppliers. You don't get what I'm saying,
That's
Sandra.
it. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, you are not paying subsidy to marketers again. But the subsidy is going somewhere.
It's
because
going somewhere.
now it has been admitted, they've admitted, there's no denying it, call it whatever name, subsidy is back. It never went anywhere. Sandra, in the month of June alone, subsidy payments from the NNPCL report is showing that we did 800 billion naira in subsidy payments alone, the highest ever. Even in the time of corruption-infested subsidy regime, we never got to that level. So if you are not like they keep saying, oh, we are not paying any marketer, we are just recovering our costs and all that, the cost you are recovering in the form of intervention or whatever name you call it, is going to the suppliers. Who are these suppliers, Sandra? Who are the owners? And where are we bringing all of this petrol from? Which country? Who are the owners of the plant?
Who are the people that we are owing? That's a big question.
Because even the NPCL, yes, I'm with you.
The report we're getting now is that we've not even paid for some January import. We are in September.
That's what we are saying.
Lord have mercy. And as it is now, the debts keep piling up. Where there's also
piling up, yes.
Yes, the debts keep piling up. And under contract terms, NNPC is meant to pay within 90 days of delivery.
And if you don't pay, you have
$250,000.
$1,000 that you have to pay extra every month
for late payment. For late payment.
So the debt. So who are the guys that are supplying? Look, let's ask ourselves, Sandra, how did we even get to this level? We've talked about fixing our local refineries so that all of these hidden suppliers that we don't know, that suddenly we are now owing billions of dollars. I'm with you, Sandra.
Let me take you back to Farouk Ahmed, NMDPRA executive, who said something as regards energy security and the thoughts and plans of Dangote as regards the oil sector. But looking at this now, the suppliers are no longer supplying NNPCL. NNPCL is the sole importer that we have in this country now. In the coming months, we are not going to have, and we have 5 or so refineries. Okay, we have one functional refineries and some other moribund refineries and some local refineries and some other smaller refineries all over the country. But then here we are struggling to have fuel in an oil-producing nation. And now, from the looks of it, there are major concerns as regards the fact that now, to offset some of these debts, we need to borrow more. And for us to borrow more, we may have to even, push crude that we have not yet produced, that we have not even
do more forward sale agreement.
Look at that.
Yeah, even the recent liquidity of the NNPCL, Sandra, even the so-called recent liquidity of the NNPCL, has actually come from a lot of forward sale agreements. You remember the Afrexim Bank forward sale agreement that gave us about $3.something billion. So we've been doing all of that. So the question is, what is really happening to the NNPCL? What are they giving back to the country? Where are the dollars? Why is it that the oil company is running at loss to the extent now that they are broke and have not been able to pay their suppliers about $6.something billion in debt? What is happening to the NNPC? So, again, a lot of questions. Now, let's even go to the Ahmed Farouk statement. Oh, that Dangote wanted to just run a monopoly. For energy safety and security, we have to still continue to import, blah, blah, blah. Sandra, your importation that the man is defending, they are so-called ridiculous importation of PMS into an oil-producing nation that he is defending. You know, to the extent that he wants to run down a local refinery that is supposed to bridge the gap for us. Is it not even better now that we ensure enough supply of crude oil to Dangote refinery that has the capacity to supply fuel to Nigerians? Where would have been able to take away all of the stories of landing costs, logistics, and what have you? It's not even better to run a monopoly with Dangote than the ridiculous, useless monopoly that the NNPCL is running with its agents now. You don't understand what I'm saying. Is it not better that we run that monopoly with Dangote refinery? Now, since you have the capacity to meet our petroleum supply locally, let's ensure we give you adequate crude. Run the monopoly if you want to run it. Then what we have now is a quasi crazy, corrupt monopoly. These guys see as the NNPC are pretending and lying to us that they've regulated the sector. What we have now is so opaque that you don't even know what's going on. So now, some few weeks ago, you denied owing anybody. Today, you have now admitted that you are owing. Then what is the way forward? Sandra, we have to be prepared. The price of PMS is going to go up. That's what the NNPCL is not telling you. It's no longer sustainable. So again, if you all of these stories we are saying now, all of these things we are talking about, goes back to the infamous statement that happened on May 29, 2023, that subsidy is gone. Without any plan, without any clear thinking process about it, without any plans to mitigate the effect, without understanding the dynamics of the sector, it is now clear as daylight, Sandra. How do you throw up a twin policy of subsidy removal and floating of the naira at the same time without getting into this confusion? And unfortunately, you throw in those two policies without any plan.
Well, the marketers are saying that partial deregulation is killing businesses at this time now. So they are calling on the federal government and NNPC to, if you're going to remove fuel subsidy, remove it totally instead of engaging in partial.
So that if we die, we die.
So I will know
if
exactly.
We live.
And if you want to return it, return it. Let's know, and let's not, yes, let's not be in between, because that is what the problem is. Where you see NNPCL, fuel station selling fuel at 580 naira, and then you see independent marketers, they are selling at 800,
for 900, 950.
and then you see some young boys on the corner are selling at 1,500. So help us, Lord. Well, it is killing our business. We are not making progress. It's killing us, and that's what the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria is saying. If the federal government wants to bring back subsidy, let them bring it back fully so that everybody will know that we are on a subsidized product, and it should cut across, not just for NNPC. So we'll know that we are back to the subsidy regime, which I don't think is good for the economy of this country at this time.
Were we ever out of the subsidy regime, Sandra?
We moved from
subsidy
to shortfall, to weighted average rate, to obligations,
Sandra,
to interventions. So it's not.
The Minister of Petroleum, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. 𝐴ᴏ just some few days ago was telling us about the fact that there's still a lot of smuggling. People are still diverting petroleum products to neighboring countries, again trying to justify the need for Nigerians to now begin to look at the real cost and fight all manner of things going on with the fact that people are still diverting and smuggling our products out of the country. And the question is this, Sandra, we've always talked about these things, but I hope people pay attention to this thing. So the issue of diverting petroleum products now, smuggling it out of the country, that's not the job of government to see.
Well,
why should Nigerians be the ones to suffer from the lack of capacity, the inefficiency of government to stop smuggling of petroleum products out of the country? There was corruption in the subsidy regime. You said people were doctoring figures, they were not bringing anything and were getting money. Was that not also a problem that the government should have fixed? So why is it that for anything the government is not able to do, the level of inefficiency in government, the ordinary Nigerians are the one that has to pay for it.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's why
Nigerians
to be
have so much
prepared.
time. Yeah, exactly.
Tougher days ahead.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
That's the unfortunate truth. That's the uncomfortable truth, and it's something that we all need to live with. The NNPCL has confirmed, reports that yes, they are owing and they are struggling at this time to have access to petroleum to pay their suppliers. All right, the story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper, so you can get more details there. This is still trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can join the conversation on those platforms as well. 7 minutes past 8. We're moving on to this other story above the masthead of the Punch, still in connection with the energy sector. Power generation down by 1,400 megawatts as discos reject allocations. It's serious.
We wake up every day.
It's regrettable.
Stories.
The interesting thing. Just the interesting thing for it. We are even struggling with the 5,000, the one that we were doing before. 5,000 mega. That's what we're struggling with. Look at that. This goes can pick the supply. Anyways, efforts by the federal government to ramp up power generation seem to be suffering a setback following the refusal of DISCOs, that's the distribution companies, to offtake the power that is allocated to them. And the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, described the rejection of power, describing it as regrettable. According to him, generation peaked at 5,170 megawatts on Friday. Unfortunately, it had to be ramped down to 1,400 due to the inability. They can't take it. This is highly regrettable. And this is a government that is supposedly on course to generating 6,000 megawatts by the end of the year. Fuad, what exactly? What should we do? Should we go and beg our discos, or what exactly? Is our take or your take on this particular story?
Sandra, again, a sector that is supposed to be a thriving sector, a sector that you think ordinarily will run profitably, will run efficiently, has become a sector that continues to give Nigerians pain, needless, avoidable pain, the power sector. Again, if you look at the entire value chain, I keep saying it, no matter what we think about the generation of electricity in the country, that's not the most problematic part of the value chain. Because even if they ramp up generation, even if you put generation now to an installed capacity of about 13,000 megawatts, you have a situation where your transmission end cannot even carry the load. The Abiku national grid that we have been talking about, which is also a transmission problem, if you understand what I'm saying. So there's that issue there for us to solve. But do you also know that the transmission end of the value chain is not even as problematic as the distribution end? So let us even say, because again, it's in the news that the government is about pumping another 1.something trillion into the transmission end, of course, help with a lot of power distribution equipment and all of those kind of things, transmission equipment. So let us even say we try to fix the problem at the transmission end of the value chain. What about our disco dancers? They can't look. The government has been making efforts, like the minister has said. They've been able to ramp up, generation to the point where they are now doing about 5,000 megawatts. Somehow the transmission, even though it's collapsing, is able to carry it. Now drop the load for distribution guys to now put it in our home. They say no, our head no fit carry am. And you know why? They've not been investing. They've not been doing anything. These disco guys, whoever owns them, have been living on the subsidy from Nigerians, support from government. They've been running it efficiently. They don't have the capacity to function. And when we had the opportunity to terminate their contract, we extended the standard. Remember?
Last year, October.
When there was an opportunity to kill the thing, I said, oh, we extended it again. Up till now, NEC has not explained to us the justification for the extension of the contract of these guys. A lot of them are indebted to banks. They are not solvent. They can't even run. AMCON has taken a lot of them over because they have not run these things efficiently and profitably. The issue of vested interest. When these things come up, people who are connected to people high up there, they take it over, not thinking about how to run the thing. It's just the money they are now downgraded at Generala's economy in the next 10 years. downgrading its own electricity supply, their own transformer. People are still replacing damaged cables. So what then exactly? So the discos are just there to collect people's money. What is their investment in the sector? Sandra. And then another thing that we talked about, Sandra, recently was that, look, maybe we even came up with a new electricity law that allows the state to domesticate the law and take over some of these things. Do you know that since that law was passed, no state has done anything to domesticate the power sector review of power? Why are they not doing anything about it? What are the governors doing? So the job of the governors, basically, and the states, is to go and call leadership problem. Corruption is flying and having a field day. Nigerians are on the lamentation spree. Things get tougher for the people when the government is supposed to pick good things.
And finally, off the front page of the Punch newspaper, I have here, also above the masthead, Nigeria has second highest rate of food insecurity. And that's coming from Bill Gates. The story is on page 3 of the Punch newspaper, so we may want to get deeper into that if we have the time to see what we have there. But I don't think it's something that's new or totally new for us Nigerians living in Nigeria. The fact that there is food insecurity at this time.
It's no longer story. Exactly. It's no longer news. And for people that tell people go to farm, I'm sure they are seeing the video. They are getting the story. I think it has even gotten the Sokoto situation. Has gotten to the point where the Minister of State has been told to go to Sokoto, go and sit down there to attend to what is happening there. Sokoto used to be out of the radar of this insecurity standard, if you remember. It's always been Kaduna, Kano, and some other states. But somehow Sokoto has now come into the situation. In the last 2 weeks now, it's been Sokoto, killings, abductions. As we speak, Sandra, Dr. Ganiat Popola is still with these kidnappers. We don't have any story that she's been released. And so many other Nigerians. And if you look at some of the trending videos of these bandits and what have you, you see that these are farmland. In one, you saw this dry corn, maize, and what have you, right? More like these are farmers. That these guys are stopping from going to their farms. And so I also think that the PCP system and the price control man now also sees some of these things and understands that, look, and yes, I'm not just yes, I'm with you.
The same man that's given us 1 month to reduce the price of our artists.
To go and drop prices of goods.
It's all right.
I'm sure he's reading the story and he's getting all the indices for high prices of goods and services. It could probably, I'm sure if he's not reading the paper now, he can at least listen and aggregate the reasons why there seems to be high prices of food, why the inflation has gone up. Before he begins to give the 1 month, deadline for people to go and drop price from where to where?
To crash the prices of goods and the
just by fatwa. I mean, just decree and it will happen. Just like that.
It's okay. Well, it's 15 minutes past 8 and you're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. Now we're moving on to the Guardian newspaper. We're done with the Punch. And of course, the major headline of the Guardian newspaper also addresses the NNPCL, conversation. Yes, fuel price hike imminent as NNPC admits $6.8 billion debt, supply strain. So the NNPCL is experiencing financial strain, which is putting pressure and poses a threat to the sustainability of fuel supply. And more detail of that. All of these statements put forward by the spokesperson of NNPCL, Femi Shoneye, on his X page. Yes, so you can get more details of that. But more details of this story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. So I wish everyone who lives off of fuel the best. So help us, God. I don't know what.
It will touch everybody, Sandra. It's not that it will touch everybody because you know how important payment is to Nigerians.
Transport has gone up by about 40% now.
Yes.
Transport fare.
And if transport goes up, food prices are going to go up. A lot of things will go up. If MS touches everybody, it's not that it doesn't concern me to concern you. Probably will not concern people that have money that's stealing from somewhere. But if you do legitimate business, if you do legitimate earnings and all of that, you're going to be touched and affected drastically. Sandra, I am heavily touched.
We know.
It's not I just come ready to shout. I know how this has affected my income, how it's affecting me, myself and my family. It's not a joke.
It's affecting everybody. I know someone who just turns
on. I've talked about my own.
It's all right. It's okay. I know some people who turn on their generator for 1 hour, charge their phone and off it, and let's move on with our lives. All right.
They even on the generator. Some people have even sold their generator.
Yeah, that's unfortunate about it. All right, moving on, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper is also the story as regards, the power sector. We have here, despite elusive $7 billion intervention, federal government is to inject 1.2 trillion naira in TCN and discos, and that is on on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And we also have here on the Guardian, we have FCCPC's marching order. Businesses claim victims of government policies fault tackling inflation by fiat. And that's on page 6 of the Guardian paper. So the business owners are basically saying that, well, I mean, you can't blame us for doing things that is caused by government. So this is something, if it's government policies, that brought on whatever it is that is going on in the business world. So that's basically what that report is
just
giving.
Two things. Just two things that the price control man should come and talk to us about. You came up with a government policy that took the price of PMA standard from around 200 naira to 600 and something, and about 800 or 900, depending on where you are buying it from. I'm even sure that in places where they produce food, all these northern parts of the country, probably between over 1,000 naira per liter, if you know the way Nigeria is structured. The same government coming with a policy that took dollars from around 750 to now 1,600 naira. Diesel, what was the price a year ago, and what is the price of diesel now? Cooking gas standard, what was the price before, what is the price now? All of those things that came as a result of government inefficiency and policies. How does the price control man situate those situations with the price of goods and services to the point now where it's decreed that in a month they should crash price? And it also shows that these guys are far from reality. They don't understand what is going on. They probably are overfed to the point where they don't even know the real problem.
All right. Thank you very much, Fuad. That's all we can take off the front page of the Guardian newspaper. But of course, I won't leave the front page of the Guardian without acknowledging these really beautiful pictures I'm seeing here on the front page of the Guardian. Bankers Committee completes restoration of National Theatre. Oh, look at that!
Fantastic.
Looking so beautiful. And
the pictures. I think the Punch used the pictures last week. Guardian is using it now, but beautiful, fantastic work at the Bankers Committee.
Which brings
to restore the old glory of the National Theatre. Yeah.
Which brings up the conversation around, PPP, arrangement for national assets, so we can have some of these things, easier on the government. Yeah. Yes.
I think it works if we can do that, really, because a lot of our national assets we can't even manage. If you go to the Tafawa Balewa Square, for example, you feel sorry for the country. What has become? Really? Yes, it's still running, but not to what you would expect. National Theatre used to be, the major place really when it comes to cinema business in Nigeria. Before that cinemas came off stream, it was the place where everybody converged during festive period to watch different films. The Orumoru, Jayesimi, the Babasala, Ogunde era. That was the major place where people converged.
Orumoru.
Didn't watch Jaye.
I did not watch his word. Please, no, please. So,
but Pa Uba Ogunde.
Of course.
You didn't watch any Babasala film?
I think I did.
You're not even sure.
But I think I did. I remember his cap. I think I remember watching. Yes, I remember his cap.
His cap. Okay, which of his films did you watch?
It's okay, Fuad. It's okay. Thank you very much. That's what we're taking on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Let's move on now to Vanguard. The major headline on the front page of Vanguard newspaper: no end in sight to petrol scarcity as economy gasps for breath. And we have riders here. We don't have money to import fuel, says NNPC. What's it that on? Is it Abiu?
You're about to say shaka shaka daddy. Do you know the meaning of that?
I do not. I do not. What? It's okay.
You need to go for Yoruba lesson, special. Wait, shaka shaka daddy.
Oh yeah, interpret.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. You know, somebody that's been dancing. You know, when they say quit the stage when the ovation is loud. So you have this beautiful dancer that keeps dancing. And I said, look, stop. Eventually, he breaks his waist. Have we not gotten to the point where all of the lies, the deceit, the recovery or the recovery has now brought us to the point where, look at the story. We are broke. We can't import fuel.
They have admitted now to a $6 billion debt to petrol suppliers. And also, subsidies to hit 5.4 trillion naira in December 2024. We can't borrow any more to sustain importation, says federal government. We cannot import because of forex scarcity and others, says marketers. As fuel scarcity by Sada. Why Nigeria's
economy... They've never been importing. They don't even have the forex. They got the line said they can't import. So.
Why Nigeria's economy continues to struggle, and that's coming from NECA, that's Employers Consultative Association. Now, ask government to focus on productive reforms across key sectors. But no, we're changing national anthem. It's okay. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper, and that's still on the petrol, so many more difficult days to come. That's basically what the NNPCL is saying, because they don't have access to fuel supply, so they can't even, and
if government is telling you that they can't continue to borrow to fund subsidy, so they have admitted that there's subsidy. So can we all now agree that subsidy is gone statement of May 29, 2023 was ill time, was not thought through, was a failed policy agenda that has never worked and will not work. If we don't go back to the drawing board to know what the problem is, get the willpower to fix it and do the right thing. I think we cannot now all agree. There's no arguing it. Sandra.
Well, according to NNPC's financial forecast, it says that total petrol subsidy bill from August 2023 to December 2024 will reach 5.4 trillion naira. And according to NNPC, the removal of petrol subsidy in June initially led to monthly savings of 400 billion, enabling them to remit 2 trillion in taxes and royalties by January. However, NNPC's cost importation turned negative in August and rose to 5.4 by April because of the devaluation of the naira. So you see those twin policies of the president as soon as he came in, the subsidy is gone and flotation of the naira, both of them has, is what has taken Nigeria
landed us into this trouble.
To this glorious.
Those two policies are even worse than when we were paying subsidy officially.
That's it.
Yeah, when we were paying subsidy officially, we were not in this mess. Oh, we're going to take off subsidy, it's not sustainable. And yet you came up with these two policies. It's not worth of it. Okay, let's gauge when we're paying and when we are not paying. We are even now paying more, Sandra. And I keep saying it, that no matter how you think the subsidy regime was corrupt, it could not have been more terrible than a situation where we don't have any figures to deal with. At that time, we're even appropriating money. We knew what we're dealing with. What are we dealing with now? The NNPCL just comes up to tell us that they are broke. How did you get broke? We don't know. Who is checking the books? Who are they paying? Who are these suppliers? What is going on, Sandra?
Well, that's the big question that we all need to come together and ask. When we keep asking, when we're asking questions, I'm just going to take us back to the campaigns and the need for debates and the need for, thorough questioning of candidates. We were asking, okay, so yes, okay, all of you agree that subsidy needs to go. Okay, fine. How? The question of how, nobody addressed it. Everybody was just, merry-go-rounding around that particular conversation. And this is where it has landed us.
Yeah,
now. That's the uncomfortable.
Sandra, basically,
the uncomfortable
prices are going to go up. That's the truth.
The uncomfortable conversation has now become an uncomfortable situation for all Nigerians. It's really unfortunate. Anyways, well, as we have it here on economic resilience, Mr. Adewale Oyinride insists that while Nigeria's economy is not yet at a stage of unqualified success, the recent GDP growth indicates a positive momentum. Okay, I'm done with that one.
We like grammar.
It's all right. The story is on page 40, pages 5 and
Grammar.
40 of Vanguard newspaper. As we wrap things up this morning, I also have here on the front page of Vanguard, just above the masthead, Atiku demands listing of NNPCL on stock exchange, and that's on page 9. Says that it is in compliance with the Petroleum Industry Act. So, former Vice President of Nigeria, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has demanded that President Bola Tinubu's administration should immediately list NNPCL on the stock exchange in line with the PIA. He said this while reacting to the decision of NNPCL to hand over the Warri and Kaduna refineries to private operators who are expected to manage and operate them. He said, and I quote, "The NNPCL is supposed to have been listed on the stock exchange in line with the Petroleum Industry Act. This would make the company more profitable and enhance transparency and corporate governance. Currently, the NNPCL claims to be private, but this is only a ruse to fool the feeble-minded because it remains the automated teller machine, ATM, of the federal government. Anything short of listing the NNPCL on the stock exchange is nothing but a cosmetic development." And he went further to say that NNPCL continues to provide a cover of political protection to the Tinubu government's policy inconsistency on the payment of subsidy, raising questions about the independence that the PIA requires of NNPCL as a private business concern. And
Sandra, I think there's really nothing more to add. It's just probably article reiterating, probably just adding to the fact that, look, the PIA naturally requires that, look, NNPCL should have been listed. It should be a listed company. Probably as the only addition. Again, a lot of talk about whether the NNPCL is operating as an independent arm of government. Yes, the reality is that it's still run by government. You know, the Ministry of Finance Incorporated still runs the NNPCL really. But in terms of operation, it's supposed to run independent and autonomous of government. Do its business like a business entity with some of the best corporate governance policies that you're supposed to get. But that's what we're getting. Instead, what we're getting is an opaque system that has not changed anything. We've only changed the name, more like changing the bottle, but not changing the content. That's what we have with the NNPCL.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, Atiku has also queried the feasibility of NNPC's latest plan, as he pointed out that such arrangements in the past had not been profitable. That as regards the management or manage and approach or manage and operate approach, manage then operate or manage and operate has not always worked, and he has advised NNPC not to make the contract process opaque like he did with the OVH last year. Another thing,
which article is pointing our minds to. Yes. This idea of looking for managers of the refinery. Remember that we've now invested so much money to quote and unquote revive this refinery. Suddenly we are looking for managers. And people have questioned this idea of managing, getting private people to come and manage. Instead of doing that, can we begin to look at proper privatization? Sell these things off to people who can run them without necessarily coming back to government for any form of support.
Let them do business.
And then we just let them run it as a business, and then we take a percentage, a share of it. You understand what we're saying? But this idea of managing, again, we're going to have situations now where people who are not qualified to manage these things will now eventually take on the job and run us into further trouble with this asset. It has happened in the past. I remember there was a time during Obasanjo where a company, I've forgotten the name, got the management contract to manage the what's it called, the Ajakuta Steel Complex. Eventually, we ran into problems that we even had to compensate the managers of those assets.
On a final note, as we wrap things up this morning on Trends in the Papers, Dangote Petrol is ready for rollout. Excuse me. That is what we are getting from the report. It's on the it's a headline on the front page of the Punch.
Is it Dangote that is telling us that? If you read the story, it's just some anonymous sources
who pleaded
anonymity. I only listen to Dangote alone. They've told us that for anything that concerns our refinery, wait for our official statement. And that's my position on this story.
Thank you very much, Said Fuad. We'll take a short break now. When we come back from the break, we'll move on to Milan Focus, and that's the part where you get to be a part of the conversation. We have quite a number of messages here on Facebook. When we come back from the break, we'll take them alongside other messages that will be taken on Milan Focus. This is Milan 98.3 FM. Please stay tuned.